I'll be available for hugs later. Could use one. Okay. I'll throw out the first pitch by asking what your initial relationship with the original Legend of Sleepy Hollow story was, and how you felt about tackling a series that's based on a story that's so beloved and familiar to so many, at least around here, and especially around Halloween time. And what was your first introduction to that legend?
I'd read it quite a long time ago, around the time that the Johnny Depp Tim Burton film came out, which is one of my favourites of their collaboration. And I remember reading it then and then kind of forgot about it until I saw this amazing script for the pilot, and then I read it again, and yay! And then last year I did an audio book of it. One of you has listened to it, thank you. Even though it's free, thanks guys. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say it because it's a classic, but I struggle with it. I struggle with the book because there's a lot of lists. It's Ichabod kind of riding around town, and there's a list of the various types of corn that he sees in a field. Then he goes to the Van Tassel's house, and there's a list of what food they have there. And so when I heard that was going to be turned into a series, how? Just 13 hours of me with a list, which no one needs. What was the question? It's great. It's a great book, and I don't know if I mentioned I did an audio version.
I will let us take an audience question here, so let's get that first one.
Sorry, can you hear me? Sorry. I was just wondering, what part of history would you like to see come to the show that you haven't already seen?
Oh, wow. Well, I'd really like to see some of the other people who were knocking around in England at the time and have them not be a demon, which seems to be the theme. It was amazing. Having Benjamin Franklin, that was my favourite, and Tim Busfield was, I think you'll agree, just brilliant. And when Franklin travelled over to Europe and stayed in London and became very good friends with Samuel Johnson, who wrote the first dictionary, and went and hung out in Paris and was very, very debauched in Paris. He was a filthy, filthy man. You'll probably notice, by the way, Tim looked at Abby during... and so I'd like to see that. I'd like to see imagine if Ichabod had joined him over in the debauched land of Paris and London. And, theatrical orgies, the usual.
Okay.
All right, well, first, I love the show, and I'm so psyched that you're here in Georgia filming it.
Thank you very much.
I love your chemistry with Nicole. It's awesome. This is not a question about the show. It's sort of. Okay. Since you're British, I don't want you to get embarrassed or anything.
Too late.
My family actually arrived here in this country in 1600s in New York, which is interesting. So I love that whole thing in the show. But they were English, so lots of embarrassment. Have you ever been referred to before as super hot Jesus?
Lots of potential roles.
Thank you very much.
there. I want to welcome you, and unfortunately I can't welcome her yet, your wonderful co-star. Thank you both for coming to Dragoncon. We've been loving your show a lot.
Thanks.
I wanted to know about the OnStar scene. What was the genesis of that, and how many takes did it take?
I loved that. That's still one of my favourite moments. That was Damien Kindler wrote that, and it was Ken Olin was directing it, and I'd hear him. He'd be sitting back behind the monitor watching it, and I'd have the window down, and I'd just hear after every take him going, "Ugh, he's so British," which I think was a good thing. I really liked that scene. I'd quite wanted Yolanda, that was her name. I quite wanted Yolanda to become a recurring feature, a bit like Ziggy in Quantum Leap. But maybe this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, hello.
Hey there. So, a question about the finale and the things that happened and that Ichabod did, which would seem to me to be quite something that would not fit with his sense of himself and sort of man that he is.
Right.
I'm just curious if that's correct in your view, and how is he dealing with that in the new season?
With the death of...
Well, yes, and what he did, and how that makes him sort of maybe a little bit different than he might have thought he was. That's a very
How does
vague
it affect
question.
him that he ambiguously may or may not have killed his own wife?
Exactly.
It's not really dealt with. It's something that hangs over him, of course, and because Abby and Ichabod both did something quite big then, and there's the struggle of course, it's his wife and his son, and he loved her so much, but she turned into a bit. I nearly said, but I did not. She turned bad. So there's finding that balance of we had to do that to save the world, but she kind of was my wife. Yeah, that's played around with in quite a nice way. Thanks.
Hello.
Super hot Jesus.
Anyway, I know
I'm
you.
going to text my mum.
Okay. Since you shoot your series in North Carolina, did anybody
We did. We did.
Oh yeah, you did.
Right here in the good city of Atlanta, Georgia. Try Daddy D's barbecue.
The first two seasons anyway. Did you ever hear of any of the legends associated with North Carolina, like the Devil's Trampling Ground?
Oh yes, I have. I was in fact sent a book with lots of North Carolina's mysteries and ghost stories.
Yeah, maybe it should be a plot in the next season.
I'll take the book, entirely plagiarize it, and then blame someone else.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thanks very much.
Hi.
Hi.
My question for you is for Tom Meissen, the actor, not for Ichabod.
Thank
When
you.
you audition for your role as Ichabod, is it any different than what you do now on TV?
Oh, good question. It kind of was there. It was one of those parts that you really like to read because on the page the character is kind of
How
there.
much is your own style, though? What you do with your hands, just the little...
Oh.
Your business is as an actor.
That came afterwards. In the audition, I think it was a lot stiller. And thank you. And that was after a lot of thought about how Ichabod deals with certain things and the difference between Ichabod in the past and Ichabod in the present. No, in fact, I saw. It's the only time I've seen an audition of mine. and it was the screen test I did with Nicole. And a lot of it is kind of there. Some bits were toned down and some bits were toned back up. Do you just want to know about the hands? No, that came later.
Okay, I also want to say, like, thank you so much for moving the filming here to Atlanta.
I accept full credit.
But I wanted to ask you, with you and Nicole and the other actors on this show, obviously you guys
Workers. Act.
obviously you have a very good, strong connection on screen. What are some of the ways that you guys like hang out and work together off the screen? That way y'all can connect like that on screen. Do you have any certain like ways to hang out, or?
We actually, Nicole and I particularly, don't have an awful lot of time off. And what time off we do have is desperately trying to learn the 9 pages of occasional nonsense for the next day. But we'd go out and have dinner. A lot of the other guys, we're all kind of living near each other around here, so we hang out a lot. I've spent more time with Nicole over the last 3 years than anyone else. Than my mum. I should text her again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Hello, my name is Eric, and just ignore this. My question is to both Ichabod and super sexy Jesus.
Oh, I've been upgraded. Did you hear what they called me? Nothing.
What did we walk into?
Hello? Everybody, this is Nicole Behari. And to the other side is Corey Castellano, who designs and makes every monster that we've ever had.
Without him, we would have nothing to run from, basically.
Well, this is fantastic. I can ask this question to all of you then.
Oh, you're still here?
Yes. Surprisingly so. What demon or monster would you have liked to have seen on the show that you fought? That you would like to fight?
Who'd like to start with what demon or monster?
Would we like to add a new one? I'm partial to like water things. I'm pushing it, and I was telling him earlier. I really want to do some sort of mermaid acting. So any monster that involves deep sea diving or Abby transforming into some sort of mer person would really help, Corey. Actually,
that would be cool. I've always wanted to do a sea creature or a sea monster kind of thing, so who knows?
Nice.
Put it out there.
I'll go with that mermaid. Fine, I'll do that as well.
Super hot Jesus mermaid. It's going to keep getting worse as the panel goes along. It's adding names to it.
Hello, thank you guys for being here. I'm really excited that you just got here, Nicole. Okay, so my question is, my favorite... You're okay too? My favorite thing about Sleepy Hollow is that Ichabod is like constantly complaining about 21st century things like, why do you pay for water? What is this travesty? And I wanted to know what was like your favorite things that like or kind of like funny 21st century like quirks because he's like 300 years old?
I like the water. I like the water a lot. I think it's a very good point as well. It's valid. And then there are, and the tax thing. The tax thing, I don't think any of us can argue with that. And so we'll all take to the streets, shortly.
Please don't say that. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. There are policemen outside right now waiting for us.
Okay, thank you.
That long. How are you?
Good, how are
I'm
you?
a little bit nervous. So I have a question. We all want to know, when is the romantic gestures between you two are going to appear next time?
Me and Corey. When are we going to become romantically entangled? I think.
These two?
You two.
You be very careful how you answer that. I really love, and I loved from the moment I read the pilot, that there was no romantic connection between them. It makes for a much more interesting dynamic, and it's something that you don't see often enough, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
a
why I
loyal
asked,
friendship.
because you never know.
I just think it says a lot about all your dirty little minds.
We've read your fan fiction.
We have.
Okay, you guys answered my question quite clearly. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to Dragoncon. This is my first convention ever.
Oh, really?
I picked a big one. Have a good one.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Hey guys, this kind of harkens back to the other question. Yes, I am dressed like you. I think the...
You are super hot, Jesus.
Just stop, sir, just stop. One of the things, I'm gonna sashay out of here. Obviously I think the thing I like most about the show truly is your reactions to 20th century things. All right. Is there anything you would like to see Ichabod take on in the 20th century from, you've done video games, you've done cell phones and motorcycles, which is awesome. And was there anything that you did do that was left on the cutting room floor that you wished had been put into the show?
I can't think of anything that we've done that didn't make it in. Unless you...
No.
In the pilot, I seem to remember that there was a helicopter that chased after Ichabod, and I was with my flatmate at the time reading it, and I said, what would his reaction to a helicopter be? And my friend said, you just look at it and you scream. So anything that can elicit that reaction.
Excellent. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hi. So, Sleepy Hollow is rife with various plot twists, like, spoiler warning for the first season, Henry being the horseman of war, and then, of course, Katrina turning into a bad person. Do you guys know about that beforehand, or do you pretty much know when you read that episode script? And specifically for designing creatures, how far do you learn things in advance?
As far as the designing creatures, not nearly far enough. I'll get a story treatment, and I'll get something really clever like faceless, eyeless horror, or my favorite was, it's my first creature, make it really cool. And I have roughly about a week to plan, and maybe, if I'm really lucky, 2 weeks to execute the builds for these things.
You do great.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
involved in making those things happen, though. So I'd love to say it was just me in a tool shed with some liquid latex, but there's a whole lot of people helping me. So
I would have taken credit.
But how far in advance do you guys know the arc, I guess, is basically.
As far as the larger arcs, like Henry and Katrina, I think we knew about that. But the way that it was going to unravel, I don't think that, I personally kind of stay away from knowing everything because I like to sort of live in the reality of it.
I think with regards to Henry, I knew from the moment John arrived that he would be Ichabod's son. I didn't know about the Horsemen of War until we got that. The week before, when I spoke to Alex Kurtzman about the episode, and he told me. Usually, actually, I hear about the upcoming creatures when Corey just will like hover around in the makeup trailer and say, I know what the monster is. I get very excited. And that's normally when I hear about it. I may have just got him fired. Sorry.
Oh, and hi. I'd just like to know what's Ichabod's favourite modern day food?
Favourite modern day food?
For Ichabod.
We've actually carried on with the theme of Ichabod just loving junk food. I nearly swore again. Loving junk food. Because in the first episode it was the donut holes, and we've just done an episode where he's just addicted to fizzy soda. I think just all of the new ingredients that he never had because it wasn't made in a lab and full of the worst things you can do. Go America.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We should do as a fun size bar gag. This is how big fun is. This is my world.
That's another idea I'm stealing.
Hi, Tom. I wanted to ask about your hair. It's a lot shorter than we're used to seeing.
It is.
So is it cut for the show, or?
It is. I am more than just a haircut. We had very, very long discussions about it before this season. Ichabod's hair in season 1 is kind of a very, very quick attempt to hold on to his period hair. In season 2, he's a lot more relaxed in the present world, so it's down and flowing and and in this, because there's for season 3, there's a time leap from the finale and the start of it. I'm going to be joining Corey looking for a job.
Don't tell anybody what he said. That's just for you guys.
Yeah, you guys can keep a secret, can't you? There's a time leap. And we wanted to get something so that from the moment you see Ichabod again, you know that something's different. And so there's a very, very physical, this is a different man. But it's still, period and out of place enough so that we don't lose anything.
And he has a jetpack.